So I'm out here by the water right now, just trying to get away from everything for a second. And I don't know, something just kept coming up in my spirit today, and I figured, why hold on to it? Let's just talk about it. Doubt, self-doubt, that quiet voice that creeps in right when you're about to do something good, something bold, something that actually matters. You know the one. Who do you think you are? What makes you think you can do this? You're gonna fail just like last time. That voice. And I want to tell you something today, plain and simple. That voice is not from God. It never was. Think about it for a second. Really think about it. When has doubt ever built anything? When has doubt ever finished anything? It hasn't. It can't. Doubt's only job, its only job is to keep you exactly where you are, stuck, small, quiet, safe, but never free. And listen, I'm not saying this from some high place, like I've got it all figured out. I don't. I've doubted myself more times than I can count. Standing right here by this water, I could tell you 10 different moments where I almost didn't do something because that voice got loud, real loud. I remember one time specifically, and I don't usually get this detail, but I want to today. I had an opportunity, a real one, something I'd actually prayed for, if I'm being honest. And the second it showed up, the second it was actually in front of me, that voice started up immediately. You're gonna mess this up. You don't have what it takes. Everybody's gonna see you fail. And I almost didn't take it. I almost let that voice make the decision for me. But here's what I've learned, and I mean really learned, not just read in a book somewhere. Doubt doesn't show up because you're weak. It shows up because you're close to something, close to a breakthrough, close to a calling, close to the version of yourself you were actually made to be. The enemy doesn't waste time doubting people who aren't going anywhere. Think about that. Think about that for a second. If doubt is loud in your life right now, that's not a sign you're failing. That might actually be a sign you're right on the edge of something, right on the edge. I want to talk for a second about where doubt actually comes from, because I don't think people slow down enough to ask that question. We just accept the voice as if it's always been there, as if it's just part of who we are, but it's not. Nobody's born doubting themselves. Watch a toddler for 5 minutes. They'll try to walk, fall down, get back up, try again with zero shame about it. No doubt, no hesitation, they just keep going. So where does it come from? A lot of the time, and I'm not a therapist, I'm just speaking from what I've seen, what I've lived, a lot of the time it comes from somewhere specific, a moment, a person, a comment somebody made, maybe years ago, that you didn't even realize planted a seed. A parent who compared you to somebody else. A teacher who told you that you weren't good at something and you just believed it and carried it for 15, 20 years without ever questioning whether that one comment was even true. And here's the sad part. Most of the time, the person who said it doesn't even remember saying it. They've moved on completely, and you're still here, still carrying it, still letting one offhand sentence from years ago shape decisions you're making today. That's wild when you really sit with it. That's actually wild. There's a part of you, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a part of you that already knows your worth, already knows what you're capable of. That part doesn't doubt. That part is sure, steady, quiet, but sure. And then there's the other voice, the loud one, the one that shows up the second you get close to stepping into something bigger. And here's the thing, that voice is loud because it's scared, not you, it's scared of who you become when you stop listening to it. So I want to ask you something right now, honestly. What have you been putting off? What have you been talking yourself out of over and over because some voice in your head convinced you that you're not ready, not good enough, not equipped? I want you to actually think about that. Don't just let the question pass by. Is it a conversation you need to have? A door you need to walk through? A dream you keep writing down and then closing the notebook on, telling yourself maybe next year? Maybe it's something smaller than that even. Maybe it's just actually believing that you're allowed to be happy, that you're allowed to take up space, that you don't have to earn your worth every single day just to feel okay about who you are. Whatever it is for you, I want you to actually name it right now, in your head, if nowhere else. I want to bring up something a lot of people don't like to talk about, but I think it matters here, and that's comparison. Because doubt and comparison, they're basically partners. They show up together almost every time. You ever scroll through your phone and just feel that little pit in your stomach? Somebody's announcing something, a new job, a new relationship, a new house, whatever it is. And on the surface, you're happy for them, genuinely. But underneath it, there's this little voice going, why not me? What am I doing wrong? Everybody's moving forward except me. That voice, that's doubt again, just wearing a different outfit this time. And here's what I want you to really hear. Comparison only works because doubt already opened the door. If you are fully convinced of your own path, fully convinced that what's for you is for you, somebody else's win wouldn't shake you at all. You'd just be happy for them, clean, no static underneath it. The fact that it stings sometimes isn't a character flaw, it's just doubt, finding another way in. Because here's the truth, and I say this with everything in me, God doesn't make mistakes. He didn't make one when He made you. Every gift, every idea, every dream that keeps tugging at you, keeps showing up in your quiet moments, that's not random, that's not an accident. That was placed there on purpose, for a purpose. And doubt just wants you to forget that, wants you to shrink back down to a size that's comfortable for everybody else, wants you to play it safe, stay quiet, never take the risk. But that was never the plan for you, never. I think about how many people, how many incredible people talk themselves out of their own calling, their own breakthrough, not because they weren't capable, they absolutely were, but because doubt got louder than faith for just long enough, and they let it win. And listen, I don't say that to guilt anybody. I say that because I don't want it to be you, not anymore. You ever notice how doubt always shows up dressed as wisdom? It never says be afraid. It says be realistic. It never says you'll fail. It says just be smart about this. It disguises itself, and that's exactly why it's so effective. It doesn't feel like fear when it's happening. It feels like common sense. It feels like you're just being careful, but underneath it, underneath all of it, it's still just fear, wearing a really convincing outfit. Let's talk about timing for a second, because I think this is where doubt does some of its sneakiest work. Doubt loves to convince you that it's not no, it's just not yet. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes things really aren't ready, and patience really is the right move. I'm not saying ignore timing completely, but a lot of the time, not yet becomes not ever, because we let one more month turn into one more year, turn into 5 more years, and at some point you look back and realize the door's been open the whole time, you just never walked through it. I think about how many dreams are sitting in people's hearts right now today that have been almost ready for over a decade. The business idea that's almost ready to launch, the relationship conversation that's almost ready to happen, the apology that's almost ready to be said. At some point, almost ready just becomes a really polite way of saying never. And I don't want that for you. I genuinely don't. So how do you fight it? Practically, how do you actually fight this thing? First, you call it what it is. You stop calling it being realistic, and you start calling it what it actually is. Fear, dressed up, wearing a disguise. Once you name it, it loses a little bit of its power, just a little, but it's a start. Second, you take the step anyway. Not when the doubt disappears, because honestly, it might not fully. You take the step while the doubt is still talking. That's faith. Real faith isn't the absence of doubt, it's moving forward in spite of it. Third, and this one matters most, I think, you remind yourself daily who actually gets the final word. Not the doubt, not the voice in your head, not the people who didn't believe in you. The final word belongs to God, and He has never once doubted you, not for a second. Fourth, I'll add this one too, because I think it matters. Surround yourself as much as you can with people who speak life over you, not doubt. Because sometimes the loudest doubt in your life isn't even coming from inside your own head. Sometimes it's coming from the people around you, people who maybe love you, but who are also comfortable with the old version of you and get a little uneasy when they see you growing past it. You don't have to cut everybody off, that's not what I'm saying. But pay attention to whose voice you're letting speak the loudest into your decisions. And fifth, this one's simple, but it works. Keep a record. Actually write down the moments doubt told you that you'd fail and you didn't. Write down the times you almost didn't do something and you're glad you did it anyway, because doubt has a short memory on purpose. It wants you starting from zero every single time, like you've never overcome anything before, but you have. You have overcome things before, and you need a record to prove it to yourself when the voice gets loud again, because it will get loud again. It always does. I want to say one more thing before I head back, and it's this. Doubting yourself is not the same as humility. I think a lot of us got those two confused somewhere along the way. We were taught, maybe by church, maybe by family, that thinking highly of yourself is prideful, is wrong, is something to be ashamed of. And so instead, a lot of us swung all the way to the other side into constant self-doubt, and we called that holy, we called that humble. But that's not humility, that's just a different kind of pride, honestly, if you really break it down, because it's still making it about you. It's still centering your own fear instead of trusting what God already said about you. Real humility isn't doubting your worth. Real humility is accepting it fully and then using it for something bigger than yourself. And I think that distinction matters more than people realize, because a lot of us are walking around thinking we're being modest, being humble, being careful, when really we're just scared. And we found a really spiritual sounding way to describe being scared. There's nothing holy about shrinking. There's nothing humble about hiding a gift God gave you because you're afraid of what people might think, or afraid of failing, or afraid of being seen. One more thing I want to touch on, and then I'll let you go. I think a lot of the doubt we carry isn't even really about the thing we're doubting, not directly. I think a lot of the time, doubt is really just an old wound wearing the costume of a present decision, meaning that fear you feel about starting the business, it might not actually be about the business at all. It might be the echo of a time you tried something and it didn't work, and you never actually healed from that. You just buried it. And now every new opportunity gets filtered through that old pain without you even realizing it's happening. So sometimes fighting doubt isn't just about pushing through it with willpower. Sometimes it's about going back honestly and asking yourself, where did this actually start? What's the real moment underneath this feeling? And bringing that to God honestly and letting Him actually heal that part, instead of just trying to white knuckle your way past it every single time. Because you can outwork doubt for a while, sure, but if you never deal with the root, it just keeps coming back, wearing a different outfit every time. I just want to leave you with this. Whatever it is you've been putting off, whatever dream, whatever step, whatever thing you keep almost doing, stop waiting for the doubt to leave. It might not. Move anyway. Move scared, move shaking, but move. You were never meant to live small. Never. So if this spoke to you today, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you've been doubting yourself on. I read every single one. I promise you that.